Welcome back, everybody, to Unconditional Surrender in Europe, game designed by Salvatore Vasta, published by GMT Games. This is a beginning of a new campaign. I've been trying to come up with a name for it, and I think I'm going to call it the Cripple the UK, Collapse the USSR campaign. And for short, that's C.U.C.U. C.U.C.U. So that's what you'll see in the title. I will put my opponent's Board Game Geek handle in the comments, as I normally do. He has played this game quite a bit. I've seen him in several online games in Vassal, and he has a particular strategy that I think is could be very much a game-winning strategy for the Germans as long as it works, and the odds are that it should work. So, without further ado, some of the things that we did play. He asked that we are playing with the optional rule that the Italians cannot go as an ally through diplomacy, only through a declaration of war by the Germans. And the other thing is that we have free setup. So if he wants to move a German infantry, around and reset where things are starting in Poland, it will allow me to also set up Poland in a free setup. And so we will get started there. This is him resetting up his units. He puts the Panzer, instead of it being in Germany, he puts it into East Prussia. Resets his infantry around a bit, and I stacked up the Poles because I'll get to set them up. He puts the 1st Infantry up next to the Danish border, so he maintains his western thing. And he also puts an airplane up there, so he's preparing to go after Denmark right away, it looks like. He's trying to figure out best place to put his things, move that infantry up. Yeah, I think that's... And then he put an infantry here. So that was his setup change there. I think that's all he did. For me, I took the French infantry that's southeast of Paris. I moved the... Welcome. Okay. Thought I put the French. Okay, this is... I didn't change the Western setup, and if I'd have been thinking, I would have changed it more. Okay, so we went through... I think I was just showing him how some of the stuff works here. And then I reset up the French. I took the mobile infantry unit and put it on the other side of the Marne, and I took the guy that sits on the Belgian border on the coast and actually put it in Calais with the fleet. Moved an infantry unit into Lille. And then I based home fleet, as you see in my 1,000-Year Reich series. I put the home fleet in Edinburgh, and there it shall stay to help prevent invasions of Britain. And then I put the Western Desert Force on the Egyptian border with Libya. I'm not sure that that's a good move because of the threat it can have from invading from Alexandria. But I didn't like the idea of giving up like all the hexes all the way to El Alamein to the Italians just coming in and marching. So, and then I think that was it. So, I went into declarations of war, declared war on the West. So, the national will for the Soviet Union should go up to 85 here in a minute. And we are setting up the polls. Now, this is something I've thought about, and it's like those front two cities are going to die no matter what I do. Rather than giving him extra will points for real infantry, I went ahead and threw the garrisons in those cities just to make him have to roll dice. And then I set up an infantry in Lodz, an infantry in front of Krakow, infantry in the traditional place and across from the German infantry, another one behind the river on the road to Warsaw, and in this last one I put there so that he can't just run around and grab like Brest and Vilnius or run around me and get to Warsaw by the long route. And then I put one in Warsaw. So that's my Polish setup. For good or bad, I don't know. But that seems to be a best I could think of at the time. And then he declared war on Denmark as well. And that's pretty much standard as you put the Dane there. I could have moved him a hex closer to the Germans, but I wanted him to have to... By moving it back one space like this, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to get all the way to Alberg. And it's same thing if he's going towards Copenhagen. It means he only gets 3 attacks with his infantry instead of 4. So if you set up on the border, he'll have 4 attacks with the infantry, most likely killing this thing. Now he only has 3. Maybe I get lucky. Who knows? Then I thought about it, and I said, if he wants to conquer it, he probably can. But if I put it here on the island, he can't really do anything to me. And the West and the Soviets can't declare war, so we just go to the economies, which, at the beginning of the game is very straightforward. Oops. Why am I bringing that up? Oh, we're not playing with variable entry either. We're playing with historical entry. So, and I think we're about ready to go. I believe he is attacking already. Yes, he's already in his operations phase. We didn't change the thing here. The turn track. Anyway, he comes up and he attacks the Danes. He is -2 for going across the straits. And then he throws in an airplane. And I don't think... So technically we have to go to combat commitment. And I chose not to commit there to the Danes. I think we were checking to see what was in each one of those cities for some reason. Anyway, he gets up to, should be a +2 now. So it's +2 to -2. We rolled a 4. I don't know, why is it -2? I think he's using the wrong module here. So he really should have been a 6 to my 1, so I'm eliminated. I was just testing to see what the heck happened there. Anyway, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to there. So he can go and take Copenhagen if he wants. And he said, nope, I'm just going to stop there. I was like, okay. So now we have the Germans going into Poland. I am isolated in Danzig, so he is +4, -1 for the city. So it's +3 to -2. We didn't commit. And he attacked. He got a grand total of 4, and I rolled a 6 -2 is a 4. So I actually held for a round, which was amazing in and of itself. So this time he goes ahead and throws a fighter in to make sure that he's +5 to -2, because he wants to make sure he takes that city. And when you're at +5, it means minimum you can get is a 6. The best I can get is a 4, because I'm -2. if I had thrown a ground support there, I could have gotten, a 6 as well, but he's more likely not going to roll a 1. And I felt that I needed to save the ground support for, like, Warsaw and the real infantry, so I didn't. I'd achieved my goal. I made him spend extra movement points there. So now he only had 2 movement points left, and he goes to there. And then his next move is to go there for 1-2. I did not understand that, but so it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He should have 3 movement points left. And he threw in an airplane, and again, it was +5 to -2. Minimum he can get to 6. Best I can get to 4, unless I throw a ground support. And again, I told him I'm not going to waste my ground supports there. So he takes that. So my willpower should be down to 8. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he moves there 6. Attacks this infantry for 7, 8. And now I think we do go to combat commitment. Yes. I don't think we were using the combat commitment thing. So I was at +1. He was at +4 because he threw in an airplane from the north there, right here. And he rolled a 1 +4. So he only got a 5. And I rolled a grand total of a 5. And then I rolled a 6 to get my ground support back, so it's not coming back in forever. I can't remember what he did next. Oh, that's us adjusting the national will where it belongs. So he moves the infantry 1, 2, and attacks this infantry, trying to drive it south. So that's 3, 4. And I think he thought about it and said, I don't need to do that. I just want to do it this way. So now he has 6 movement points left. He's just going to attack straight across. He's going to be throwing in an airplane. Excuse me. I'm going to sneeze. I think we're doing this wrong. There. He's at +4 and I'm at 0. I chose not to use my last ground support there. He rolled a 9. I rolled a 1. So it was a good thing I didn't, because I would have been flipped and retreated anyway. And he takes it. And then I think, and he has no enemy zone of control, so he chooses to go across the river for 2 more movement points. So he has 4 left. Then he's going to attack the surrounded infantry. He rolls a 7. I rolled a 1. So I'm DD'd. I can't retreat, so I'm eliminated. And he still had a movement point left, because he would have had a no enemy zone of control here. So he went ahead and, with 2 movement points left, he just moved to there to guarantee isolation of Lutz. And he moves the armor up, attacks. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He should have 4 movement points left. He throws an airplane in. So he's at +4 because he's -1 for the river, -1 for the city. So the armor started off at +4, -2. Threw in the airplane, so he stayed at +4. I threw in my ground support here. He rolled an 8, and I rolled a net of a 6. His net 8, so I actually held for 1 turn. So he's going to spend final movement points in another sortie to take me out at +4 to 0. He rolled a 9, I rolled a 5. I'm forced to retreat, so I have to retreat. He takes Warsaw, which I'm now down 2, 4, 8, 9, I believe. Should be at 3. Oh no, he killed 2 infantry. Yes, he killed 2 infantry, so I'm going to be down to 2. Which means all he has to do is take 1 more city. And so then he moves this infantry up to attack at Lutz. He's -2 for coming across the river into a city, but he's +2 for isolation, so he's at +2. I believe he throws in an airplane. Yeah, he threw in his airplane from the north, so he's +6 or +4 net. And he rolled a 6 and I rolled a 2, which is a DD, or it's a retreat, so I'm flipped instead. And that's all he could attack because it's 1 and it costs 4 to attack into the city. So then he moves his armor up to attack, and I'm going to be at -2. Come on. Let's get there. What did we do? Here's a 6 to a 2. And then the poles come off because they're gone. And he gets a trophy. Puts his pro marker in Romania, which is pretty standard. Threw one in the cup. And for some reason he has him starting at 40. And it's supposed to start actually at 45, so he's off on his willpower. What are we doing? Oh, we're pulling everything out of the cup, so I don't know why we were doing that. I think I was showing him how you can just look at everything that's in the cup, highlight it all, and send it back. And he was like, oh, that's cool. So you don't have to necessarily remember what's in there. You can always look. So the Panzer had moved 1, and then it went 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's 6, 7, 8. And he stopped there. And the other infantry that was on the border there with Poland moved up to get ready to go into Hungary. So he's on a conquest binge here. He flies his aircraft up to Denmark to get it away from the French. And I think that was it. Everything is in supply for him. This is me finally catching up on the movement things. German factories went up 1 because they got the Polish corridor. And now we're in Western Action subphase. So, I did the obvious thing. The convoy transports the guy to Le Havre, since he can't intercept me at this point. Actually, I didn't. I said, wait a minute, I'm going to do this first. So the French fleet, along with the French infantry that was in Calais and the convoy, all go sailing to Sea Zone 12. And he tried to intercept me, I believe, with the airplane. He rolled 5 and I rolled a 7. And then he rolled an 8 to my 2. So I took 1 sortie from the first combat and I took 3 there. And now he is at -1. And he rolled a 5 plus 1 is a 6, and I rolled a 5. -1 is a 4. So I took 2 sorties, he was flipped, and I had to land, and I just went ahead and landed in Elberg. So, yeah, that's my whole point. Then, this is a cutesy trick. He didn't realize I could actually reach there. 7 movement points lets me reach the guy in the Kiel Canal. So the French go. You can see Sal joined us there. So I rolled a 4. He rolled a 2, so I got 2 sorties on him. And then I rolled a 5 minus 1, which was a 4. I rolled a 5 minus 2 is a 3, so 5 minus 2 is a 3, and he didn't get a 6 to hit me for 2. So I managed to take 1 German air all the way up to 6. That was me just showing him some of the things that we can, some of the keystrokes on the units. And then I took the BEF and put it in Calais. And then ended my turn in Brest because I don't want to be within range of German aircraft if they decide to come down and bang on my convoy. And now I'm in the supply subphase, so this guy has to go up there, and then I have to, of course, supply the Western Desert Force. And then we are into... What are we doing? Oh, I think we're doing the French supply here. So he's going to try and intervene, and he rolled a 3. My 3. So my Navy unit went up to 5 sorties. And then he rolled a 1, trying to get the convoy that was doing the supply, and missed. So his airplane's up to 4 sorties. And I managed to get supply through to this infantry unit. Now, why did I do this? Why didn't I go to Copenhagen so I'd have a limited supply? We don't have strategic warfare yet, so I'm not going to get any modifiers for Copenhagen. And Aalborg is the key to Norway. So my idea was, if he gets some fair weather here, he's going to have to take the time to kill the Frenchman before he can go on to get Norway. So that was my thought process, trying to disrupt his timetable. That's pretty much what I try to do throughout these early years, is I just have to try and disrupt his timetable. He has a very specific thing that he's trying to do, and should be able to pull it off. And that's just me moving the Russians around just to do something. We're in the no supply phase, nobody does that, so we do replacements. Germans go around and replace all their airplanes. Remember, an airplane that's on the border with Poland, even though it's conquered, is considered Eastern Front garrison. And that's Sal leaving us. Then we go to Western replacements. It's pretty straightforward. I just do my 2 convoys for the British. And then I do the fleet and the convoy up here in Aalborg. Soviets didn't have one. There's no upgrades. Mobilization. Nobody's got anything to build, so we go on to the diplomacy phase. Now, here's where the whole point of this strategy that I can understand from what he's doing is the Germans are perfectly willing to go up to 9 conquered countries if they have to. The idea is to take the Middle East all the way to Basra, Kuwait from the British, because not only do you take a bunch of will points for the cities in the Middle East and Kuwait, but you also get to get a +2 against the Russians. So if you have Norway and Basra, you're +3. So even though the Russians are at +3, you're even with them. And you will be +6 against the West, which means even if the Russians take one from you, you are most likely going to get it right back from the strategic warfare in the West. So you're crippling England, trying to crush Russia, and hopefully keeping your economy pretty much intact, at least until the Americans show up. Then things might get a bit more dicey. So anyway, he pulled an area seized, and he goes, every game I never can get Romania on the first turn. I'm like, yeah, I've never seen it in any of my games either. I've heard people able to pull a political success of some sort and get Bessarabia, get Romania before the Russians get Bessarabia. He pulled an area seized, and of course, seeing that, I said, guess what? I'm going to take Bessarabia. So that's what I did. And then for the West, did I pull? I think I pulled, yes. And I got a political success. I said, well, he's just going to conquer Denmark anyway. You know, it's just to remove my success, so it doesn't really matter where I place it. You know, some people might have said, oh, you should have placed it in Turkey or whatever. And I said, nah, I'm just going to, I figured he's going to remove it wherever I put it. So I just went ahead and placed it in Greece. I like Greece for the British because of this port right here. If you're based off of Konya, you intercept both the Tripoli route to Sicily and the Benghazi route to Italy. And of course the Tobruk route. So a fleet based in Konya can pretty much interdict the entire central Mediterranean. So it's kind of a key hex. I did not expect to get it because I figured next turn he's just going to conquer Denmark, remove this pro marker, and on he's going to go. So it was the Soviets. What did the Soviets do? Did I not pull? I could have sworn I put the area seized back in for the Soviets. Okay, well, I guess we didn't. So I don't. Oh, I'm hitting. I'm hitting the turn sequence. So we go into the Soviet diplomacy phase, and the Soviets went ahead and spent their 5, and just said, "I'm putting the area seized back in. Got to dilute the cup. One of the political successes out. The Germans only have 3 in there now. They're probably going to conquer Denmark, so they'll end up with 4 again. But we're trying to keep the cup count down to foil German. The Germans have such good odds of getting a success. We have to try and dilute it while we still try and chip away at things. And then we went to end of turn phase, and then we will go into the weather phase here, I believe. So we're in the weather phase of October of 39. He rolled a 4-1-6. Of course, he rolled a 1. So it's going to be poor in the cold zone, fair in the mild zone, and severe in the warm zone. And that's the end of our first turn. So we only did 1 turn here. We will be doing multiple turns in future videos. Again, I understand what he's trying to do. It is a bit of a gamble, but if you can pull it off with the Germans, you will pretty much guarantee that your economy is going to stay intact for most of your invasion of Russia. So we're going to see how he goes about doing this. I'm usually not this aggressive on the conquest things, but after seeing how he's doing this, it might be a worthwhile thing to consider doing, at least from time to time, to screw up your opponent. I have seen him do this before where they invade Denmark in 39 but don't conquer it. They want to save it to get rid of the British political success or whatever. So that's why I went ahead and said, well, the French army doesn't really have anything to do until he comes across in May. And neither does the French fleet until the Italians show up. So it was kind of like, I'm just going to stick a Frenchman up here and make you deal with it. So there you have it. September 39 of the C.U.C.U campaign. I will probably be calling it Cuckoo in the future. And if you like my videos, please subscribe. Hit the like button so that these videos will stay up on YouTube's algorithms for people to find when they come looking for them. And until we meet again, stay safe and bye-bye.